What looks significantly scarier at 3 am? The basement. We have a pool table, TV, laundry, all that stuff, but when the lights go out, feels like you're not alone down there. I get scared by mundane stuff like this too. I can't even lie. I'm scared of the dark and I'm 22. I have anxiety, so I just tell myself it's because of that. I recently started living alone for the first time in my life, and every night I get worried I'm being watched and that someone will come attack me. I should probably start working on that, lol. At a sleepover in 8th grade, a group of us usually took turns having them at different people's houses. This time was at one girl's house I had never been to. Sometime in the early morning hours I went to get my charger. When I came back down, my eyes took a minute to adjust to the dark. I saw someone standing over by the window, but they were inside, and they were tall. We were small 8th graders and this thing was like 6 feet, so it couldn't have been one of them. This figure was standing dead still, and panic adrenaline kicked in super quick. I managed to fumble down the wall to hit the light and realized it was a life-size cardboard cutout of one of the Vampire Diaries dudes. I almost crapped my pants. Had a roommate in college that borrowed her little sister's life-size cutout of Bieber for a week. I don't think I was ever scared more times in 1 week. LOL. Not exactly 3 am, but I once woke up around half 4 am once because my neighbor started mowing their lawn. There's something sinister about seeing someone mowing their lawn in the dark at 4 in the morning. 7 am, a bit weird. 9 am, fine. 4 am, 100% confirmed serial killer. I saw a neighbor weeding their grass and cutting it with scissors at 1:30 am. They were doing it by the light of their headlights. Weird AF. Flying a kite. I've done it, it's kinda terrifying. You can't see the kite in the darkness, all you can see is a string disappearing up into the sky and it feels like something alive is at the other end tugging on it. There's just something about flying a kite at night that's so unwholesome. Children. My oldest used to come stand next to me to wake me up, but for some ungodly reason would put his blankie over his head and tap me. Number. My oldest child once woke me up in the middle of the night when he was about 7 years old. He was covered in blood. It was in his hair, on his shirt. I screamed. I jumped out of bed and see the blood on the bedroom door. Straight up like a horror movie. Turns out he had a nosebleed and tried to clean it up. It was all over the bathroom too. Horrible way to wake up. My cat that likes to sit on the power button to my CPAP that I need to live at night. The little bastard. So I wake up from suffocating, and I see this furry sucker just looking at me like he's trying to kill me. Ever been at sea and looked at the open ocean at night? The water is lit up by the boat, but as you look farther, it's just a void. Makes you feel really small. My 2-year-old daughter standing in the middle of the living room when the lights are off and I can only make out her silhouette. She spots me and runs towards me. Saru mena kids have no idea how close they came to being kicked, it seems. Me and my family were once all awake just gossiping and stuff, and then we went quiet for a moment. We started hearing a baby aggressively cry. The stray dogs started barking too. Suddenly some of the dogs started making that squeaking noises like they do when they get hurt, and the crying started to get louder. We tried looking out the window, but we can only see some dogs barking facing at a dark place. What was even more scary is the fact there was no baby in our neighborhood yet. Fun fact, there used to be a serial killer that would play a recording of a baby crying in order to draw women out of their homes. I work on a farm. We have big street lamps in every pen so the cows can eat and drink during the night. Those lights play some really freaky tricks with shadows at 3 am. The outline of your 5-year-old child standing in the hallway, staring at you mutely until you hear a quiet, rasping "die. She needs to go to the bathroom." Me too, honey, me too. Even worse if you don't have kids. Fell asleep in my daughter's room. Forgot she had a glow-in-the-dark poster for the human body. It's small, but at 3 am makes you jump. My college roommate had a door poster of the corpse bride. Coming out of the bathroom, I'd see it without my glasses in the dark. It got me every single time. Your own reflection in a mirror. Seriously though, my mind plays tricks on me and makes me think my reflection is grimacing at me. Terrifying. Good news. That's usually your brain filling in the details when it lacks visual data due to low light. It might just be me, but as a kid I would stare at my ceiling at night as I went off to sleep. It's that type of ceiling with a bunch of lines, and after looking at it for a while I would start to see faces in it just because of the design. Nothing unusual, but as a 5-year-old it really spooked me. Also, one time I was sitting by myself downstairs at 3 AM. I live in a rural area so I am really used to the sounds of animals at night such as owls and stuff. However, as I'm sitting there in my completely silent house I hear a sudden cacophony of what sounded like a bunch of really loud toddler cries. No joke, it sounded human. I rushed outside to see what it was and there was a large pack of coyotes just standing there making these god-awful noises. They didn't even care that I was there, they just continued squealing. I love those weird ceilings. It's like watching clouds and seeing shapes in them but the shapes are permanent. That corner in your room that's always dark for some reason. I don't have that, my whole room is bright. The forest outside of my bedroom window. It goes from perfectly serene Disney movie setting to The Walking Dead right about that time. Or maybe Slenderman. Our toilet is situated right next to our front door, which has multiple small windows in it. Whenever I use that toilet at night I never turn around when leaving because I always expect somebody to stand at the door grinning through a window. I always wear a dark mask, I don't like to frighten. The sound of a baby fox crying legit sounds like a child screaming bloody murder. My whole house was woken up by it once when I was a teenager. Our next door neighbor had toddlers at the time and my dad was so convinced the sound was someone was trying to kidnap or hurt them he sprinted outside with a gun in his hand. About half the neighborhood was outside also looking for the source of the sound, and someone had even called the cops. They finally found the fox stuck in a tree, but sometimes I still hear foxes at night and it's always startling. You know the chair that you dump your clothes on at night? Yeah, that's scary as frick. As well as hanging a coat on your door or something, it's like some 7 feet tall guys staring at you while you're in bed. In my experience there are basically 2 answers. Nothing, aka I've just come out the club, or everything, I've been watching horror alone. I have a coat rack in my living room, so sometimes when I'll let the dog out in the middle of the night I'll turn around and have a mini heart attack at the large human shape in the corner. It's worse if the coat arrangement changes the day before. A man walking behind you in an alley. Like, I would love to give you the benefit of the doubt and I'm sure most of these guys had zero ill intention, but being a young woman walking home from the club and being able to tell the other person is drunk, you kinda just wanna run. When I was 13 I went to the bathroom in the middle of the night and nearly had a heart attack when I saw what looked like a body laying in the bathtub. Turned the lights on and crept closer to discover it was actually our beige rugs which my mum had washed, rolled up and left overnight in the tub. As I'm sleeping in my horse trailer, one of the horses getting into a fight with their hay bag. That crap will wake you up out of a coma, making you think the side of your trailer is being ripped off. My grandfather's apartment swimming pool. It is very weird, but it's midly lit up and more or less deep. I don't know who, but it always appears like if something is moving inside. Also the lights inside are old and tend to fade sometimes until repaired. The Amber Alert tone is a rude wake up, but if it's just my regular cell phone ringtone, there's a good chance it's personal. And when's the last time you got good news at 3 o'clock? Not my scary experience, but as a child I would have lots of nightmares, go to my parents' room, and stand or sit beside the bed and cry because I was afraid of waking somebody but really wanted to. My mom woke up to the shadowy figure of a child sobbing beside her many times. There's no way that wouldn't have freaked her out. Had a sleepover at my house in high school. There were 7 or 8 of us between the 2 rooms in the basement. I had given up my bed to one of my friends and was sleeping on the floor. I woke up to crying and saw a figure standing in the middle of the room I was in. It was dark. I was groggy and thought it was, let's say, Tina from the group sleeping in the other room. I was confused as to why she was standing there, in the dark, crying softly, but sleep brain just shrugged it off and went back to sleep. The next morning, the group from the room I was in asked Tina why she'd been crying. Tina looked at Mary and said, I thought that was you I heard crying last night. Everyone looked at everyone else and it turns out that just about all of us had heard the crying, but none of us did it. It wasn't the first time that I'd been convinced my house was haunted, only to have other people agree that it is, in fact, haunted. It was 3 AM and I went to get some water and walked out of my room to see a figure standing in the corner, and I stood there for 15 seconds as my life flashed before my eyes, so thinking I have nothing to lose I said a prayer, turned on the light, and realized it was just a pile of clothes with a cloth on top to look like hair. My kids' toys suddenly going off at night. Usually it's just they are low on batteries, but it's quite unsettling to hear my daughter's doll yell mama or crying without being pressed to do so, or my son's toy horse just playing its music without even touching it. After discovering it's not a dream or a Chucky moment, I just make a note to change the batteries the next morning. I somehow missed the word toys the first time I read this, and for a good few seconds I wondered why you put batteries in your kids. For a minute there I was thinking this comment is the scariest thing to see at 3 AM. Glow in the dark anything. A few years ago I had a pillow with glow in the dark stars on it. I had thrown the pillowcase in the wash and it wasn't done in time for bed, so I figured one night without it wouldn't be a problem. I had forgotten about the glowing stars. I had a nightmare that night that I was in bed and some person was standing over me and showering me in bugs. I woke up startled and my heart beating really fast, but I realized pretty quickly it had just been a nightmare. As I started to breathe again I opened my eyes and all those glowing stars on my pillow made me think the nightmare had been real. My heart tried to jackhammer its way out of my chest and I instantly threw myself up and toward the foot of the bed. I have no idea how, but my husband woke up and grabbed my wrist and stopped me from going over the bed head first, where I likely would have hit my head on the dresser and injured myself. I didn't use the pillow without the case ever again. My long lost uncle, long lost for a reason, under my bed. Please don't take this seriously, it's something I thought about at 2:45 AM. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.